The silence in the council chamber was absolute. Do-Hyen stood at the center of the massive circular room, surrounded by representatives from 47 different alien species. His simple gray suit looked plain compared to the elaborate robes and armor worn by the council members, but he stood with his back straight and his voice steady. After 214 years of service, humanity is withdrawing from the Galactic Council, he said. His words echoed through the chamber, translated instantly into dozens of languages by the AI systems embedded in the walls. A ripple of movement went through the assembled aliens. Some leaned forward in their seats. Others made sounds that their species used for laughter. The tall, blue-skinned Veltran representative waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. "You cannot be serious, Ambassador," the Veltran said. "Humanity needs the Council. You need our technology, our trade routes, our protection." Do-Hyen allowed himself a small smile. "Protection? Tell me, Counselor, when was the last time your species sent soldiers to fight in the Outer Rim Wars? When did your people bleed to defend Council borders?" The Veltran said nothing. Around the room, other Council members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. "For 2 centuries, human soldiers have fought your wars," Do-Hyen continued. "We have died in conflicts that were not ours. We have protected worlds that would not even grant us basic trading rights. We have asked repeatedly for equal representation on this council. We have requested access to the technological archives that every other member species enjoys. We have proposed fair compensation for our military service. Every single request has been denied." A small, insect-like alien chittered from her seat high above the floor. "You are a young species. You must prove yourselves worthy before receiving such privileges. 200 years of blood is not proof enough." Do-Hyen's voice hardened. 73 million human soldiers have died fighting for the Council. Their names fill memorial walls on every human colony. And, yet, we remain second-class members of this organization. He pulled a data tablet from his pocket and held it up. "This document contains humanity's formal withdrawal from all Council treaties, agreements, and obligations. Effective immediately, all human military forces are recalled. All human diplomatic staff will return to Earth and her colonies within 30 days. All Council facilities on human worlds will be closed. All joint projects are cancelled." The Council chamber erupted in noise. Aliens shouted in their various languages, the translation system struggling to keep up. The insect-like representative stood on her multiple legs, her wings buzzing angrily. "This is unacceptable. You have contracts. Legal obligations." Do-Hyen's expression remained calm. "We have reviewed all contracts with our legal experts. Every single one contains clauses that allow withdrawal with proper notice. We are following your own laws, Counselor. We are giving you 30 days notice. That is more than generous, considering how little notice we received when the Council reduced human trade quotas last year." A heavy, rock-like alien spoke next, his voice like grinding stones. "You will regret this decision. The galaxy is dangerous. There are threats you cannot handle alone." "Perhaps," Do-Hyen said. "But, those will be our threats to handle, our choices to make, our consequences to face. We are done being your soldiers while you treat us as inferiors." He placed the data tablet on the central podium and turned to leave. As he walked toward the chamber doors, a reptilian council member called out, "You will come crawling back within months. Without our support, humanity will fall apart." Do-Hyen paused at the doorway and looked back. "We shall see." The doors closed behind him with a heavy thud. Outside, his aide Jaiwan was waiting, her face tight with worry. "Did they accept it?" she asked. "They don't have a choice," Do-Hyen replied. "The recall orders went out an hour ago. Our ships are already leaving their posts." Across the galaxy, the withdrawal began. On the mining colony of Terrace 5, human peacekeepers boarded their transport ships. The local Veltran governor watched them go, confident that the mining workers would continue their labor without supervision. He was wrong. Within a week, disputes between workers escalated into violence without human mediators to resolve conflicts. In the Outer Rim, Captain Hyunjin received the recall order aboard his patrol ship. His crew cheered, tired of endless patrols protecting trade routes they were barely allowed to use. As the human ships jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving the sector undefended, pirates who had been kept in check for decades began to emerge from hiding. On the diplomatic station orbiting the Council homeworld, human staff packed their belongings. The station's manager, a tall alien with purple skin, watched them with amusement. Running away like scared children, he muttered to his assistant. They will realize their mistake soon enough. But, as the days passed and human forces continued their exodus, small problems began to appear. A border dispute between two council species that humans usually mediated turned into a military standoff. A rebel faction that human special forces had been tracking for months attacked a civilian station, killing thousands. Trade convoys traveling without human escort were raided and destroyed. The council held emergency meetings. They assigned other species to fill the roles humans had abandoned. But, those species lacked experience. They had grown soft during the long peace that human soldiers had maintained. Their response times were slow. Their tactical decisions were poor. More importantly, they lacked the sheer determination and willingness to sacrifice that humans had shown. Do-Hyun returned to Earth, to a hero's welcome. Millions gathered in the streets of New Seoul, cheering as his shuttle landed. President Miho met him at the spaceport. "Well done, old friend," the president said, shaking his hand. "Now comes the hard part. Making them understand we're serious?" "No," Miho replied with a grim smile. "Watching the galaxy burn and not rushing back to save them." 6 weeks after the withdrawal, the first council delegation arrived at Earth, requesting negotiations. They were politely turned away. The message was clear: humanity would talk when it was ready, not when the council demanded it. In the council chamber, the atmosphere had changed. The laughter was gone. The dismissive attitudes had disappeared. As reports came in of increasing violence and instability, the council members began to realize what they had lost. Humans had not just been soldiers. They had been the glue holding the entire galactic order together. And, now that glue was gone. 6 months had passed since humanity walked away from the Galactic Council, and the galaxy was falling apart. Jaiwan sat in her laboratory aboard Earth's orbital research station, watching the news feeds from across known space. Each screen showed a different disaster unfolding in real time. On the first screen, a Veltran colony world burned. The Vrexus Horde, a massive fleet of nomadic warriors, had descended on the planet like locusts. Buildings crumbled under their bombardment. Civilians fled in panic as Vrexus ground forces swept through the cities. The Veltran Defense Force fought bravely but uselessly. They had no experience fighting an enemy this brutal, this organized. "Turn it off," her assistant Sohee said quietly. "You don't need to watch this." "Yes, I do," Jaiwan replied. "I studied the Vrexus for 20 years. I warned the council about them 100 times. They never listened. The Vrexus were not like other species. They lived on massive generation ships, traveling from system to system. They took what they needed and destroyed what they could not use. For 2 centuries, human military forces had kept them contained through a combination of strength and strategic positioning. Every time the Vrexus tested council borders, human ships were there to push them back. But, now the humans were gone. And, the Vrexus had noticed. Jaiwan switched to another feed. This one showed a council emergency session. The chamber where Do-Hyun had announced humanity's withdrawal now looked very different. Instead of proud, dismissive aliens, she saw fear in their eyes. "We must negotiate with the Vrexes," the insect-like representative was saying. "Offer them tribute. Give them territory in the Outer Rim. Anything to stop their advance." "You fool," the rock-like alien growled. "The Vrexes see tribute as weakness. Every concession we make will only encourage them to take more. Then, what do you suggest? Our combined fleets cannot stop them. We have lost 17 worlds in the past month alone." Jaiwan muted the feed. She knew how this would end. The Council would offer the Vrexes everything they asked for, and it would not be enough. The Vrexes respected only strength, and the Council had none to offer. On Earth, President Miho received daily reports about the galactic situation. His advisors filled the conference room, each presenting their analysis of the chaos spreading across known space. "The Vrexes have taken 23 Council worlds," Admiral Juno reported. "They show no signs of slowing down. At their current rate of advancement, they will reach the Council core worlds within 8 months. What about internal conflicts?" Miho asked. A younger analyst named Taejin stepped forward. "Worse than we predicted, sir. The Caltex and Rendari are at war over a border dispute. The Silthan Confederacy has split into 3 factions, each claiming to be the legitimate government. Trade routes are collapsing. Food shortages are becoming common on heavily populated worlds." Miho leaned back in his chair. "And, the Council? They send us messages every day," his diplomatic advisor Yunji said. "Begging for help. Offering concessions. Yesterday, they offered us full membership status and a seat on the High Council." "What did you tell them?" "Nothing. As instructed, we ignore all communication from the Council." Miho nodded. It was harsh, but necessary. Humanity had to remain firm. If they rushed back to save the Council now, nothing would change. The Council would use them, exploit them, and discard them again as soon as the crisis passed. Across the galaxy, the chaos intensified. Captain Hyunjin commanded a small observation ship monitoring the Outer Rim territories. His orders were simple: watch and record, but do not interfere under any circumstances. "Captain, we're receiving a distress call," his communications officer said. "Civilian transport, 70,000 refugees aboard. They're being pursued by Vrexis raiders." Hyunjin's jaw tightened. "Can we reach them?" "Yes, sir. We're only 20 minutes away at full speed." The bridge crew looked at him expectantly. Hyunjin could see the hope in their eyes. They were soldiers. They had spent their entire careers protecting innocent lives. Every instinct they had screamed at them to help. "Plot their position," Hyunjin said. "Record everything. But, we do not engage." "Sir, there are children on that ship," the officer protested. "I know," Hyunjin said, his voice hard. "Plot their position. That's an order." They watched on their screens as the Vrexis ships caught up to the transport. They watched as the raiders boarded the civilian vessel. They watched as the transport's distress signal went silent. When it was over, Hyunjin went to his quarters and was sick. But he did not change his orders. That night, he sent a message to Admiral Juno. "How much longer must we watch innocents die?" The Admiral's response came hours later. "As long as it takes for the Council to understand what they threw away. Stay strong, Captain. What we're doing matters." Back on Earth, Jaiwan received a visitor. Do-hyun, now retired from diplomatic service, came to her laboratory. "You're watching the feeds," he said. It was not a question. "Every day," she replied. "It's worse than we thought it would be." "Is it?" Do-hyun moved to stand beside her, looking at the screens. The Council had 200 years to prepare for this. They chose to rely entirely on humanity instead of building their own defenses. They chose to keep their people soft and unprepared. This was always going to happen, eventually. People are dying. People have always been dying. Human people, dying in wars that were not theirs to fight. The difference is that now, the Council has to face the consequences of their own choices. Jaiwan knew he was right, but it did not make watching any easier. The galaxy was tearing itself apart, and humanity had the power to stop it. They had the ships, the weapons, the trained soldiers. But they stayed home, watching from a distance. In the council chamber, the emergency session continued. The various species argued about strategies, about resources, about who should sacrifice what for the common good. But, underlying all their arguments was a growing realization. They had built their entire civilization on the backs of human soldiers, and, without those soldiers, they had nothing. The Veltran representative, who had laughed at Dohayan 6 months earlier, now spoke in a quiet, defeated voice. We must contact Earth again. We must offer them better terms. We have offered them everything, another counselor said. They ignore us. Then, we offer them more. Give them anything they want. Full council control. Access to all technology. Formal apologies. Whatever it takes. The chamber fell silent. Pride had kept them from such desperate measures before. But, pride meant nothing when your civilization was dying. The vote was unanimous. They would send another delegation to Earth, and, this time, they would beg. President Miho stood before the human parliament, looking at the faces of representatives from every human colony and settlement across known space. The chamber was packed. Every seat was filled, and more people stood along the walls. This was the moment they had been waiting for. My fellow humans, he began. For 8 months, we have watched the galaxy burn. We have ignored the Council's pleas for help. Many of you have asked why. Many of you have questioned whether we made the right choice. Today, I will tell you the truth about what the Council did to us. He gestured, and a massive holographic display appeared above the chamber floor. It showed documents, data streams, and intercepted communications. 3 years ago, our intelligence services discovered something disturbing. The Council was not just exploiting us. They were actively sabotaging our development. He paused, letting the words sink in. Every piece of technology the Council shared with us was deliberately outdated. Every scientific collaboration included hidden restrictions. Every trade agreement was designed to keep us dependent on them. The chamber erupted in angry shouts. Miho waited for silence before continuing. Our scientists noticed patterns. Promising research projects would suddenly fail for no apparent reason. Equipment would malfunction at critical moments. Data would become corrupted. At first, we thought it was bad luck. Then, we started investigating. The holographic display changed, showing a series of files marked with Council seals. We discovered Council agents embedded in our research facilities. They were stealing our work and replacing it with false data. They were sabotaging experiments. They were feeding us incorrect information to slow our progress. A representative from Mars colony stood up. Why would they do this? Control, Miho replied simply. As long as we needed their technology, we would remain dependent on them. As long as we believed we were inferior, we would continue to serve as their military without demanding equal treatment. The Council has known for decades that human ingenuity surpasses theirs. They were terrified of what we might become if we were allowed to develop freely. So he, now the director of Earth's Advanced Research Division, stepped forward. When we withdrew from the Council, we closed all joint research facilities. We expelled all Council liaisons. For the first time in 200 years, human scientists could work without interference. The results have been extraordinary. The holographic display changed again, showing technical schematics. This is our new faster-than-light drive. It's 3 times faster than anything the Council possesses. We developed it in 6 months without their interference. Gasps echoed through the chamber. FTL technology was supposed to be the Council's greatest achievement, perfected over thousands of years. And humans had surpassed it in half a year. That's not all, so he continued. We've made breakthroughs in energy generation, weapons systems, defensive shields, and medical technology. Every field where the Council told us we had reached the limits of possibility, we've pushed far beyond. Taejin took the floor next. Our military capabilities have expanded dramatically. We've reverse-engineered the ancient Forerunner artifacts that the Council forbade us from studying. Those artifacts contain technology that makes Council weapons look like toys. He activated a simulation showing a space battle. Human ships moved with impossible speed and precision, their weapons cutting through enemy vessels effortlessly. This is not speculation. These are functional prototypes. Our new fleet is already operational. Admiral Juno added his assessment. Based on our current capabilities, we could defeat the entire Council military in a direct confrontation. All 47 member species combined could not stop us. And we're still improving every day. The chamber fell into stunned silence. The implications were staggering. Humanity was no longer the junior partner begging for scraps. They were the dominant military power in the galaxy, and most of the galaxy did not know it yet. A representative from the outer colonies raised a question. If we're so powerful, why are we still hiding? Why not intervene and stop the Vrexus? Miho answered carefully. Because power without purpose is meaningless. Yes, we could sweep in and save the Council. We could restore order and push back the Vrexus. But, then, what? The Council would use us again. They would take credit for the victory and return to treating us as inferiors. Nothing would change. So what do we want? Another representative asked. Everything, Yunji said, stepping forward. She had replaced Dohyan as humanity's chief diplomat. We want complete restructuring of galactic governance. We want genuine equality for all species, not the tiered system the Council uses. We want full access to all knowledge and technology. We want reparations for 200 years of exploitation. And we want authority to enforce these changes. The Council will never agree to that, someone shouted. Yunji smiled coldly. They will. Because they're desperate. The Vrexus are destroying them. Their own member species are at war with each other. Their economy is collapsing. They need us far more than we need them. And, this time, we will not accept anything less than full equality. On his observation ship, Captain Hyunjin received new orders. He read them twice, unable to believe what he was seeing. His crew gathered around him, waiting for him to speak. Command says we maintain our current posture, he announced. No intervention in Council affairs. But, we are authorized to defend ourselves with full force if attacked. His tactical officer frowned. Sir, with our new weapons, full force means we could destroy an entire fleet. I know, Hyunjin replied. Command is sending a message. They want the galaxy to see what happens if anyone threatens a human ship. They did not have to wait long. A week later, a Vrexus raiding party detected Hyunjin's ship and decided to attack. They saw a single, small vessel and assumed easy prey. They were wrong. The battle lasted less than 5 minutes. Hyunjin's ship, equipped with the new weapons and shields, danced through the Vrexus formation. Every shot from his ship destroyed an enemy vessel. Vrexus weapons bounced harmlessly off his shields. When it was over, 20 Vrexus warships were debris, and Hyunjin's ship had not taken a single point of damage. The entire engagement was recorded and transmitted across secure channels. Within hours, every intelligence agency in the galaxy had seen the footage. The message was clear: humanity was no longer the species you pushed around. They were the species you feared. In the council chamber, the representatives watched the same footage. They saw the casual ease with which a single human ship had destroyed a Vrexus raiding party that would have required dozens of council vessels to defeat. They saw technology that should not exist, weapons that defied their understanding of physics. The Veltran representative, who had once dismissed human concerns, stared at the screen with wide eyes. "What have we done?" The rock-like alien answered grimly. "We have awakened something we cannot control. We spent 200 years keeping humanity weak and dependent. Now they are strong and angry. We should have treated them as equals from the beginning." "It's too late for regrets," the insect representative said. "The question now is what we do next. Do we beg for mercy? Do we try to fight them? Do we hope they forget how we treated them?" Another delegate spoke quietly. "We prepare the best offer we can and pray they are more merciful than we were." The Council's delegation arrived at Earth aboard the finest diplomatic vessel in the galaxy. It carried representatives from all 47 member species, along with legal experts, economists, and advisors. They came prepared to negotiate. They came prepared to beg. Yunji met them not on Earth, but aboard humanity's newest flagship, the Indomitable. The choice of location was deliberate. She wanted them to see what humanity had built. She wanted them to understand that the balance of power had shifted forever. The council delegates entered the ship's main hangar and stopped in awe. The Indomitable was massive, larger than any vessel the council had ever constructed. Its halls were wide and clean, lit by soft lights that seemed to come from nowhere. Human crew members moved with quiet efficiency, their uniforms crisp and professional. "This way," Yunji said, not waiting for them to recover from their shock. She led them through corridors lined with displays showing human achievements. Scientific breakthroughs. Artistic masterpieces. Historical moments from humanity's journey to the stars. Every image was a reminder that humans were not the simple, primitive species the council had dismissed. They entered a conference room with a large oval table. Yunji took her seat at the head of the table. The council delegates filled the other seats, looking uncomfortable and out of place. The Veltran representative spoke first, his voice lacking its usual confidence. "Ambassador Yunji, we come with an offer of peace and cooperation." "I'm listening," Yunji replied, her tone neutral. The insect-like delegate activated a holographic display. "The Council is prepared to grant humanity full membership status, effective immediately. You would have a permanent seat on the High Council with veto power over all major decisions. We offer complete access to all Council technology databases and research facilities. We propose a formal treaty of mutual defense and cooperation." Yunji did not react. She simply looked at them, waiting. The rock-like alien continued. "We acknowledge that past treatment of humanity was unjust. We are prepared to make reparations. Financial compensation. Territory. Resources. Name your price, and we will meet it." "Is that all?" Yunji asked. The delegates looked at each other, confused. "All. Ambassador, we are offering you everything you asked for 200 years ago. Everything you were denied. Full equality in the council." Yunji leaned forward. "You're offering us equality in a dying system. The Galactic Council is broken. It has always been broken. A tiered system where some species are more equal than others. A structure designed to maintain the power of the founding members while exploiting newer species. You don't want to give us equality. You want to give us a seat at a table that's about to collapse." She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Let me tell you what humanity wants. We want the council disbanded. Completely. We want a new galactic government built from the ground up, with true democracy and equal representation for all species. The delegates erupted in protest. Impossible. The council has existed for thousands of years. And it will exist no longer, Yunji said firmly. Those are our terms. Non-negotiable. Back on Earth, President Miho met with his advisors to discuss the negotiations. The conference room was tense. Some advisors argued for accepting the council's offer. Others pushed for complete isolation. The debate grew heated. We have the power to reshape the galaxy, Teijin argued. We should use it. Power does not give us the right to dictate terms to other species, another advisor countered. We criticize the council for exactly that kind of behavior. Miho raised his hand for silence. The question is not whether we have the power. The question is what we do with it. Admiral Juno, what's your assessment? The Admiral pulled up tactical displays. The Vrexes continue their advance. They've taken 40 council worlds now. At their current rate, they'll reach the core systems within 3 months. The council's military is in complete disarray. Member species are fighting each other instead of uniting against the common threat. Without intervention, the council will fall. And, if we intervene, we could stop the Vrexes within a week. 1 week, and the threat would be neutralized. But, that would save the council without forcing them to change. So he added her perspective. From a technological standpoint, we don't need the council anymore. We've surpassed them in every meaningful way. Any future cooperation would be on our terms, not theirs. What about morally? Miho asked quietly. We're watching billions die. We have the power to stop it. What does it say about us if we don't? Dohyen, invited as a special advisor, spoke for the first time. It says we learn from our mistakes. For 200 years, we rushed to save others without demanding respect or equality. We were taken advantage of because we were too eager to help. This time, we wait. We make sure the changes are real and permanent before we commit our resources. The room fell silent. Finally, Miho made his decision. We proceed with Yunji's plan. The council must be dissolved and rebuilt. If they refuse, we maintain our isolation and let them face the consequences. Aboard the Indomitable, the negotiations continued. The council delegates argued that disbanding the council was too extreme. They proposed reforms instead. Structural changes. New rules. Promises of better treatment. Yunji listened patiently, then shook her head. Promises are worthless. You promised fair treatment before and broke those promises the moment it became convenient. We need guarantees. We need a system that cannot be corrupted by future leaders. And, what system would you propose? The Veltran asked. Yunji activated her own display. The Galactic Federation. A true democratic federation where every species has representation based on population. Where decisions are made by majority vote, not by an elite council. Where military service is equally distributed among all members. Where technology and knowledge are freely shared. You're describing chaos, the insect delegate said. How would such a system function? Who would enforce the rules? Humanity would, Yunji replied calmly. We propose creating the position of First Protector. A species granted supreme military authority but bound by strict rules of conduct. The First Protector would defend all Federation members equally, prevent genocide and slavery, and maintain order. But, the First Protector would have no vote in civilian governance. Military power and political power would be separated. And, humanity expects to hold this position? Initially, yes. We have the military strength to enforce Federation law. But, the position would not be permanent. Every 50 years, Federation members would vote on whether to continue the current First Protector or select another species for the role. If humanity fails in its duties, we can be removed. The delegates conferred among themselves in hushed voices. The proposal was radical, but it addressed many of their concerns. Humanity would have military power but not political dominance. Other species would control governance through democratic voting. It was far more equitable than the old council system. But it required them to give up the council, the institution that had defined galactic civilization for millennia. The rock-like alien finally spoke. This is a monumental decision. We cannot agree to it here and now. We must return to our governments, discuss with our people, and consider all implications. Yunji nodded. You have 2 weeks. After that, we will consider negotiations failed and humanity will pursue its own path. Choose wisely. The galaxy is burning, and time is running out. As the council delegation departed, Yunji remained at the window, watching their ship disappear into faster-than-light travel. Juno joined her. Do you think they'll accept? He asked. They have to, she replied. The alternative is extinction. Pride is a luxury they can no longer afford. And, if they refuse? Yunji's expression hardened. Then, we save who we can, let the rest fall, and build something better from the ashes. The message arrived on the 13th day. All 47 council species had agreed to humanity's terms. The Galactic Council would be dissolved. The Galactic Federation would take its place. Humanity would serve as first protector, defending all member species equally under the new democratic system. President Miho read the acceptance document and felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The gamble had worked. Humanity had walked away, watched the galaxy burn, and waited for the right moment. Now they would return, not as servants but as equals and protectors. Send the signal to Admiral Juno, he ordered. It's time to show them what the First Protector can do. The human fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Rex's territory. 50 warships, each equipped with technology that seemed impossible to anyone who had not seen humanity's recent breakthroughs. At the center of the formation flew the Indomitable, with Admiral Juno in command. All ships report ready, sir, his tactical officer reported. Juno looked at the strategic display. The Vrex's horde had gathered their entire fleet, over 300 warships, to defend their newly conquered territory. They had received intelligence about humanity's return and decided to make a statement. They would destroy the human fleet and prove that brute force still mattered more than fancy technology. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Open a channel to the Vrex's flagship, Juno ordered. Let me speak to their war leader. A massive alien appeared on the screen, covered in thick armor and battle scars. The Vrex's war leader growled in his harsh language, which the ship's AI translated instantly. So the humans finally show themselves. You abandoned the weak council species. Now you come to beg for mercy. No, Juno replied calmly. I come to offer you a choice. Surrender now, join the new Galactic Federation as equals, and find honorable purpose defending civilization. Or fight us, lose your entire fleet, and be exiled beyond the galactic rim forever. Choose wisely. You have 5 minutes. The Vrex's leader roared with laughter. You have 50 ships. We have 300. Your arrogance will cost you your lives. The channel closed. Juno looked at his crew. Well, we tried diplomacy. All ships, engage at will. Let's show them what humanity can do. The battle that followed would be studied by military historians for centuries. The human ships moved through the Vrexis formation like dancers, their new FTL drives allowing micro-jumps that made them nearly impossible to target. Every human weapon fired with perfect accuracy, coordinated by AI systems that processed information faster than any biological mind could follow. Vrexis ships exploded by the dozens. Their weapons could not penetrate human shields. Their attempts at ramming human vessels failed as the ships simply jumped away at the last second. The Vrexis, who had terrorized the galaxy for generations, found themselves helpless against this new enemy. Captain Hyunjin commanded one of the smaller ships in the fleet. He watched his tactical display with satisfaction as Vrexis vessels fell one after another. This was what his crew had trained for. This was why they had endured months of watching innocents die without intervening. Every sacrifice had led to this moment. Target the enemy cruiser, he ordered. Fire full spread. His ship's weapons lanced out, tearing through the Vrexis cruiser's armor like paper. The enemy vessel broke apart, its atmosphere venting into space. Across the battlefield, the same scene repeated hundreds of times. The Vrexis, realizing they could not win, began to retreat. But Juno had anticipated this. Human ships blocked every escape route, herding the Vrexis fleet into a tight cluster. Open another channel, Juno ordered. The Vrexis war leader appeared again, his expression no longer arrogant. He had lost half his fleet in less than an hour. What are you? He demanded. We are humanity, Juno replied. We are the first protector of the Galactic Federation. And, we are giving you one last chance to surrender. The Vrexis leader looked at his tactical displays, seeing his fleet surrounded and outmatched. His culture valued strength above all else. These humans had proven their strength beyond any doubt. To continue fighting would be suicide. To surrender to worthy opponents was acceptable. We surrender, he said finally. What happens now? Now you join the Federation, Juno said. Your people will be given territory within Federation space. You will contribute to the defense of all member worlds. You will be treated as equals, with the same rights and responsibilities as any other species. But, if you ever attack civilian populations again, we will destroy you completely. Do you understand? The war leader considered this. Your Federation has rules against raiding. Against attacking innocents, yes. But, we have plenty of enemies on our borders who threaten civilization. Your warriors will find honorable combat defending Federation territory. You will never lack for worthy opponents. A slow smile spread across the war leader's scarred face. Then, we accept. The Vrexis will join your Federation. News of the battle spread across the galaxy within hours. The species that had trembled before the Vrexis now saw those same warriors surrendering to humanity. The message was clear, the first protector was not just a title. It was a promise backed by overwhelming force. On Earth, so he led the integration of Council technology into the new Federation systems. She discovered that the Council's archives contained knowledge dating back thousands of years, much of it deliberately hidden from humanity. Medical treatments that could have saved millions. Energy systems that could have powered human colonies more efficiently. Scientific theories that would have advanced human research by decades. They knew, she said to Jaiwan, who had joined her team. They knew they were keeping us in the dark. They knew we could have done so much more. And, now we will, Jaiwan replied. Now all Federation species will have access to this knowledge. No more secrets. No more exploitation. The first meeting of the Galactic Federation Council took place on a neutral station built specifically for this purpose. Representatives from all member species gathered, each with voting power proportional to their population. The old council members, who had once held absolute power, now found themselves as equal partners with species they had previously dominated. Yunji presided over the opening session as humanity's ambassador. This federation is built on principles of equality, cooperation, and mutual defense, she announced. No species is superior to another. No species will be exploited for the benefit of others. We face the future together, as equals. The first order of business was formal recognition of the first protector role. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would defend the Federation with all their military might, but, in return, they would have no vote on civilian governance. Military power and political power would remain separate. Teijin, now promoted to head of Federation security, established the new defense protocols. Every member species would contribute personnel to the Federation military. Not just humans bleeding for everyone else, but genuine shared responsibility. The training would be conducted by human instructors, sharing the combat knowledge humanity had accumulated over 2 centuries of constant warfare. Admiral Juno watched the first mixed-species military units training together. Humans worked alongside Veltrans, Vrexus, and dozens of other species. They learned to trust each other, to fight together, to protect each other. It was not perfect. There were cultural conflicts and communication problems. But it was progress. Years passed. The Galactic Federation grew stronger. Member species that had been at war with each other learned to coexist peacefully. Trade flourished under the new system of equality. Scientific collaboration produced breakthroughs that benefited everyone. The borders were secure, defended by the combined might of Federation forces led by human commanders. Dohayan, now an old man, visited the memorial on Earth where the names of 73 million human soldiers were engraved. His granddaughter Minji walked beside him, wearing the uniform of a Federation officer. She would soon join a mixed-species crew aboard a patrol ship defending the outer territories. Was it worth it, grandfather? She asked. All those who died. All that sacrifice. Dohayan looked up at the stars, where human and alien ships patrolled together in perfect harmony. He thought about the journey from exploitation to equality. He thought about the difficult choice to walk away and watch the galaxy burn. He thought about the new civilization they had built from the ashes of the old. Your great-grandmother was one of the first human soldiers to die in council service, he said quietly. She believed she was building a better future. But the council took her sacrifice and gave nothing in return. For 200 years, humans died hoping for respect and equality that never came. He placed his hand on the memorial wall, feeling the names carved into the stone. Then, we walked away. We stopped begging. We stopped sacrificing ourselves for those who did not value us. And fear gripped the Galactic Council, because they finally understood what they had lost. Minji listened carefully as her grandfather continued. But we did not seek revenge. We did not conquer. We offered something better. A system where every species is valued, where every sacrifice is honored, where no one is exploited. We taught the galaxy what it truly means to be civilized. He looked at his granddaughter with pride. Was it worth it? Every single life lost in those 200 years of service mattered. Their sacrifice was not wasted. It led us to this moment, to this new beginning. And, now you will serve in a federation that values you as an equal, that appreciates your sacrifice, that will never take you for granted. Minji straightened her uniform. Then, I will honor their memory by serving with honor. Dohayan smiled. I know you will. They stood together in silence, looking at the memorial. Above them, ships from dozens of species moved through Earth's orbital space, a symbol of the unity humanity had forged through strength tempered with wisdom. The galaxy had feared humanity when they walked away. But, what emerged from that fear was something more valuable than domination. It was genuine cooperation, mutual respect, and a civilization built on equality. The moment humans walked away, fear had gripped the Galactic Council. But, in the end, that fear had given birth to something beautiful, a galaxy where no species stood alone, where all were protected, and where humanity's greatest strength was not their weapons but their unwavering commitment to doing what was right.